Hey, this is Voo, and today I'm going to take a look at some CSGO plays that pros know, but you probably don't, starting here on Mirage with this really weird but somewhat effective one-way molotov. Our sponsor for this video, Dmarket, who have released a new update to allow you to more easily choose to trade via market bots, peer-to-peer exchange, or directly sell. Dmarket has a ton of buyers, and you can sell your skins instantly and get money through a variety of payment or withdrawal methods you may prefer, including PayPal. You can exchange any skin you want, or you can list it through sale options. You can either go through bots, or you can sell face-to-face if you want a lower fee and to avoid trade holds. Alternatively, you can instantly sell your skins to Dmarket and withdraw through any means you want, including PayPal. If you want to earn money for your skins, head to Dmarket with the link in the description. One-way Molotov. So you toss it off of that angle there, and then you can sit here behind it and see pretty much all of mid, and they can't really see you at all. Now, one thing that some pros don't even know, because it's a settings thing, is in middle here on Mirage, you can actually see the shadow of people on this little ledge. Now, it's very tough to see the player. However, you can be safe from that player and see this shadow on the ground as long as your settings are on high. If they're on medium, they're going to disappear while you're near the top of the boxes, and if they're on low, they're going to disappear, much closer. Now, one other thing that's just a very common mistake people make is they come over to B and they throw flashes super high over B. Now, those aren't completely useless. They do have some value. However, if you're later in the push especially, you want to make sure that your flashes are landing deep and low, as that's going to blind people in towards the back of the bomb site here, rather than these higher ones that are going to leave these players completely open to try and get kills. One other thing that used to be incredibly common, but was so common that people stopped doing it, and now people don't even know about, is this gap in the boxes towards jungle. You can actually very easily see people as they rotate in from jungle through this gap, and because of the wood on top of the box, it's very hard for them to see you. The thing to keep in mind though is if you're here looking jungle, someone's CT can actually see you if they know what they're looking for and get the kill. So there is a bit of danger there, but it is still a way to get a quick gimmicky kill if you know what you're doing. Alternatively, when you're coming from jungle, if you want to know how to nade into a ramp, you can just use this little thing sticking up through the wall as a reference. That's going to allow you to get some nades deep into ramp if you want, or you can just run a little bit less far and get them to land. Now, one thing that isn't the most important thing ever, but can be very useful as a solo queue player, is that you can actually smoke top mid. Instead of doing this Astralis lineup from the worst spawn, you can come with this type of spawn right here, and then aim just about this shadow on the wall and jump throw. And on 128 tick, that's going to be a very effective top mid smoke that you can actually throw and then play off of. Of course, no smoke is perfect. You can aim a bit lower for it to land a little bit deeper. The last two are on B, where you can shoot through this wood to hit people on cat and actually do a pretty solid amount of damage. It's going to do about 50 damage per headshot through onto players running up cat. If you were to do something like spot them running up, or just spot them over here and then want to go for a spam. The other thing you can do is if you want to try and spam people running into B apartments, you can come to this side of the pillar and aim near the bottom right quadrant of this wall. This is actually going to be pretty much a headshot. The most common timing for people to actually come through this doorway is roughly around 141 if you want to try and get a free kill. If we head on to Inferno, the first thing that can be semi-useful is you can actually spam through this box for pretty much full damage. In fact, actually full damage if you get the exact right angle, but even if you don't, it's still going to do around 42 damage. And you can also occasionally see their name through here as well. That's the part that is probably the most interesting. If someone's sitting in this back angle, you can both spam them and see their name through this little tiny, almost like a pixel gap in the wall here. Similarly, towards new box, you can also spam through parts of this wall here if you get just in the middle, and it's going to do relatively decent damage. It's probably not going to be a kill because it's very hard to get the right angle for a headshot through right there. However, you can damage someone and potentially hear it or see the blood. Another angle you can spam through for a ridiculous amount of damage is this angle right here towards new box. If you hit them in the head, you're hitting them for 50, and you can get a lot of those different angles if you line it up correctly if anybody's holding this sort of spot. As well, one thing that's very useful that almost nobody I play with seems to know, if you're on this back wall here and you want to molly or nade new box, just aim at the chimney anywhere along here. It'll go in through the top and it'll easily get in the right spot. A couple of other things you can know is this type of one-way here at car. This is not the best one-way ever, but it is something to keep in mind if your opponents throw a bad half-wall smoke. You can see them towards T stairs. If you're trying to hold top banana, you will get a ton of kills by playing this smoke. You can throw it somewhat like that and then play around the back of this angle here, and you're gonna see people cross, and you can tell alternatively, you can't see anything on the other side. Now, this is fairly common recently, so some people are going to be aware. However, even against really strong opponents, this will get you a lot of kills, at least the first time you use it every game. Now, one thing a lot of people know, you can spam this wall towards Cold Zera. Now, it's not going to do a ton of damage. However, it's going to shoot blood through the wall if they're not playing slightly off of the wall. So at the very least, you can definitely know a player is there. Another thing is, on the other side, you can actually spam through this wall here. It's not going to do a ton of damage. However, with an op, it's pretty solid, actually. So one flash that you should probably know is the flash to get your teammates out of boiler, which you can throw like this. It's one of the easier flashes to throw for a teammate, and it'll shut down any opper trying to hold this sort of angle. Another thing you should know nade-wise on Inferno is you can throw mollies at car. However, there's a little bit of inconsistency if you do that. As you saw, it took a few seconds to get to the half wall, and often what people end up doing in these situations is they throw a molly poorly that allows their opponents to get behind car and post up on their teammates. If you want to avoid that problem altogether, you can come towards banana and simply throw it off of the wall. When you throw it off of the wall, it will pretty much universally get players behind car. Now, one angle you may have seen if you were watching ESL Pro League is this angle here. This is an angle John G from Bad News Bears played. It's a bit of an odd angle, however, it is very weird to actually try and clear, and oftentimes people will try and clear this angle and be completely visible from you. Now, another nade worth throwing as well is this molotov here. If you want to throw it on 128 tick, you aim just up from here, and on 64 tick, you aim right about here, and you're gonna run and jump throw, and that will land inside of underpass or around it as well and get you a lot of kills, especially if you want to use a lot of utility early for a gimmicky kill to flash off of the molly. Your opponents are trying to fall back and you get a free kill. So if we skip on over to Dust 2, there's a few things you can know. First off, you don't need to move to smoke the cross except for with one specific spawn. So with this spawn here, you just aim near the box. You're gonna have to eyeball that one a little bit, but it works just fine. It's this spawn that you can't smoke the cross without moving. Now the reason this is important is because everyone gets a spawn back here, runs forward, gets blocked, and misses their smoke, and then someone dies crossing and you lose the round and everyone rages and you lose the game and you probably lose your dog or something, I don't know. You don't need to move to throw this from any spawn except for the best B spawn. You can just throw it right off the box, right from your spawn. Next up is a one-way molly. You may have seen this before. It was done in a pro game somewhat recently, this molly here. You throw it in window. It's only pretty helpful in kind of clutches if you're on the T side, but they really can't see you at all with this molly down. If we just show what it looks like, you are completely invisible and you can't see them perfectly, but you certainly can see them at least a little bit. Next up, if you're ever stuck in Goose, you can just throw a jump flash like that. It looks like it's gonna hang forever, but because of the tree, it's a little bit tough to actually spot, especially if you're back over here, and it's gonna be very effective. Now, if you're on T side, there's a couple things to know. First, you can throw this jump throw smoke on the fly to smoke off corner. Optimally, you wanna have a teammate throw it because it'll land a little bit quicker and you won't have have to be worried as you go out. However, if you're playing solo queue, that's oftentimes not possible. So throwing your own smoke that'll help you at least a little bit will be worthwhile to learn that one. The other thing to know is if you're a little bit delayed, there's a new flash combo people like throwing. This flash combo here, the second flash lands high above your teammate's long, but really won't flash them at all, and it'll flash your opponents trying to fight on the corner here very effectively. There's pretty much no way to even get flashed by that flash if you're on T side unless you run out looking backwards, and even then you gotta be pretty far forward. Another flash that used to be incredibly common, but it seems like I rarely see people throwing nowadays, is this type of flash here that's gonna go over the wall and flash for your teammates coming up cat. This used to be something that pretty much every team threw. This flash isn't seen nearly as often. However, in pugs, it's an incredibly effective flash to support your teammates. And finally, if you're trying to hold middle, rather than holding from over here, you can actually hold from this angle here that will dodge any flashes thrown over. And although it's a little bit more committed, it's also a lot more of an off angle, so your opponents may clear the box and then strafe right past, and if you hit your shot, it's pretty much a free kill. The final thing is if you're on T side and you're in T spawn a little bit late in the round because you're a dirty camper, you can spam the player right side mid that's trying to hold this crack to kill people coming out of lower by aiming right around this circle. If you aim a little bit lower, you can pretty much guarantee a kill. On the left side here, you want to aim just below it. On the right side, similarly, but more towards the middle, and you'll be able to get kills on that player or tag them very often when they're trying to hold, again, this angle right here. So if we head on over to Nuke, the final map we'll be taking a look at here, did you know that you can break a door with a Zeus if it's damaged enough? Thanks, Nade King. Anyways, one thing you can notice is that you can actually spam the bomb planter here through the wall from red door if you get into the right angle. Now you have to be in a very specific spot or just fairly wide here because it needs to come through under this little wall and avoid this wall here. However, you can do a fairly decent amount of damage to a player planting safe, especially if you find the right lineup and if you're lucky and he's crouching like you pretty much do when you plant the bomb. Next up is this angle in Squeaky. This isn't something that's totally revolutionary. However, it's something I've seen most people think isn't effective. This angle here. People seem to think that you can get spotted from upper. However, even looking that direction, you can't. So you can very easily hold the majority of lobby from this angle. If they come through Squeaky, they're not really going to see you. If they come through Hut, you're going to get the free kill. And if they walk all the way through ramp to flank your team, honestly, shit happens. You can't hold every angle on your own without risking, unfortunately, dying. And finally, don't jump off of silo. You don't need to. All you do is risk getting extra damage, and the only downside is if you get shot in the air, you kinda are screwed. But you know what? You're trying to avoid that anyways. Just run off and crouch as you hit the bottom, and you'll be just fine. Now the final and most interesting part potentially of the whole video is this smoke here that will put out both the Squeaky and Hut mollies if thrown correctly. It lands right there, and you can see if you throw a molly down Squeaky or you throw a molly down in Hut, they will be extinguished. The only problem is it's not perfect. It's just something you can use, especially if you're playing in a pug and your team is likely to just die to a molly unless you help them out by doing the whole job for them. And anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and I'll catch you next time.